in the blue dot in the South, as the city is called sometimes, then like, what are you thinking that our approach should be? I'm sorry, I didn't.
The illusion.
Yeah, right. Hey,
the illusion.
Right. Yeah, you said it from the beginning. So,
yes.
But that being said, then, how has this changed your approach, if it has? In regards of it claiming to be so progressive and whatnot. Like, how do we incline the ears of those who are so easily offended and who are even denying history, or is there a way?
So, Charles, I don't think that is somebody's role. It's just not mine. I was going to quit in December. I was done. I was like, is this the city stapler? Because, I work from home almost all the time. I just go downtown, usually when everybody's out the building, and pick stuff up. And so I'm like, is this their stapler to take this paper back? I mean, everything. I don't need this, in my work. And that's just where I was at. I was dealing with a lot of personal grief. And so I know that played a part in it. But someone I didn't know that I talked to said to me, are you going to give them the gift? Are you going to use your pain to give them the gift of your resignation? Strange. I'm going to call his name out on here. He was a friend of a friend. I don't even know. Why are you talking to me like that? But then it made me think. And I understand why people get so tired that they just retreat. And whether that retreat means that they try to figure it out a different way, because I wasn't sure, or whether the retreat meant I've been sacrificing for a lot of decades now, my own family, and then maybe I just focus on myself. Or whether that retreat meant what Randy Robertson meant after he wrote The Debt, what America owes to Blacks, and The Reckoning, what Blacks owe to each other, because hey,
that's just as important.
Like in Charlottesville, Virginia, he wrote in 2004, Quitting America, and he took his butt to St. Kitts. So I'm sitting there like, well, maybe I need to just leave here. And so if that is how, I'm a person who never thought, and I have energy and I have good stamina and I can fight the fight and I'm not easily offended. Most people can't do it. And that's why we are not getting where we're going, because I think people get fed up and they leave. And so if there are people who are sensitive, who are focusing on two words, right? 1, 2, sometimes it varies who and which one they're focusing on.
Yeah, they may just have a vendetta. They may just have a target. You never make them happen.
And it's just not your comfort it's never been. I never told you it was. It's not my concern. It's none of my never mind. Right? None of my never mind.
Yeah. So,
and I hope that you can find somebody who it is, if that's what you need. Right. It's just not me.
Right. and so many of us, do appreciate that about you. Sticking to that from the campaign promise. But that kind of brings me to my last point in question is then, like what's next then? Being that this is a re-election year, what does the future look like for you, right? And even if you're not ready to answer that, whether you're running again or not, still you are a part of the community. Like, you always stand up for the people. So
unless I quit America.
Yeah, I guess unless
I leave.
Yeah, but you still got.
I've been looking into that.
Yeah, but I know you ain't gonna totally quit on the fan.
Yeah, no, it's been really hard. I told Wes that he needed to stay because it's hard for a person to do this work. And that's the reality, that I'm just not sure what is next. And it's just been hard for me to, to decide that. I said, when I was on here last, I said, I'm gonna make my announcement on the 7th. Right. It was Holly's birthday. And I thought, just keeping in with the entire reason I ever considered this in the first place. But I got to the 7th and it was just so heavy. And people are making the mayor's run-in based on that Facebook post that the news picked up out a year or so ago. I don't even remember how long it was. And I know my work isn't finished. It's not, if, my pinky toe in.
Yeah.
Like we still have so much work to do.
Right.
People ask all the time, what has changed? And I remember Maurice Jones, when he was here, he said, most counselors don't come in and get this done in your first year. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished and even the things you've accomplished before. And I still take those things as small things, but I know they're not. Getting a council at the time to start the fight on a living, the base wage, they were calling living wage, is not $15 an hour, getting UVA to do that same thing after years of people fighting with them because we were able to get it done first, and now have the county having that discussion during every meeting that they have because the people around them have done it. Which is a small thing to me, but other people say, no, that's a major thing. The whole country in 400 years, people are only at $7.25 an hour or whatever. And so when you put in that kind of perspective, it's like, okay, well, maybe it's a big thing. But I know that people can't live off $15 an hour either. So I'm like, so let's get to that $21 an hour, right? And so, so I know that there's work to do. I'm not so sure I'm the person to do it.
And even if it's not professionally, within the same, council seat or what have you, still, like that brings me
to probably need some time.
Right. And that kind of brings me to the accountability is that, like, I think too many times, like we as a people have sat back and watched. Like, what would be your hope for us as a community? Not even just you in your position, but for us to hold ourselves more accountable and hold each other more accountable, which means standing up for what we need to stand up for.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like in Charlottesville?
I think we need to go back to the reckoning. There are major class issues within our community. And they pit us against each other all the time. Someone sent me the article of Miss Washington on the racist show that she was on yesterday, and me to say something against her. I'm not going to say anything against her. She hasn't called me yet, but when she called me, I'm going to help her if there's something I can help her with. I did make that mistake and said something to Bellamy Brown, but I'm not going to do that again. And that hurt me. Even though he was, kind of getting me worked out, which it took months, but I got there. Finally, unfortunately, after I had said, don't say anything to him. That's what white people want us to fight each other. And then I flipped out tonight because sometimes I spaz because I have those emotions too. And I'm okay with honoring that I did. And I did. And I felt horrible about that. And so I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to allow so I didn't get pulled into that. I don't even know what she said. I didn't listen to it. I don't listen to the show. I didn't read, the comments. And even if I do read them, I'm not going to say anything. So I think that's one of the things that we have to learn is how we take care of each other. How do we put our differences aside? How do we make sure each other grow? And whether we agree or not, what in my world being one means that you honor and respect us. We honor and respect each other. And you understand that you can't do whatever you want to us. And there should be like a black guard, right? When something is happening in this community that displaces us, that leads to mass incarceration, that allows our families to not be vaccinated for COVID, the community should get in an uproar about that. When you have generations of family members who have lived in housing and haven't been able to secure high-paying jobs, and then people try to blame them for needing to live in housing, and the city and UVA, soon as the pandemic hit, even though we have reserves and they have a $9 billion endowment, they laid off their lowest income workers, the lowest wage workers. And I'm sure at least the city is trying to figure out how can we need fewer of these people we now have to pay $15 an hour for. That's your world-class city, right? That is what we should be in an uproar about. And most of those temporary employees are not Black people. So that's what need for people to understand. So when I protested and quit my job because they tried to create a category to save me, thinking that I would be okay with keeping a job when you lay over 300 other people off, most of those people that I protested for by sacrificing myself to say, I'm not going to stay in a job just because you think I'll keep my mouth shut if you create a category for me, were white people. Okay. It's not right.
Right.
Don't treat people like that. And so I think those are the things that people don't understand. They don't even hire us. Now, the people who have been there long term are usually Black people and Black and female, and they don't treat us very well at all. But if you go through the demographics of who they laid off, the majority of the staff members are white. And so it tells you who I am. I had a problem with it, even though I knew who was primarily affected, and I still did the same thing I would have done for us. Them, because it wasn't right.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you for being who you are. And thank you for being who you are. But you know, and thank you always for joining us at WVI, in my humble opinion. And in closing, you know, following this, going into your next phase, you know, trouble don't last always, right? Like, what
it does.
Hey, you know,
it seemed like it at least lasts for 4 years.
Right.
Or a campaign year and a tenure. But okay.
I like that. But, you know, I'll give you the last words, though. You know, following this, like, what are your closing words to the city of Charlottesville? Whether you want to separate that into, you know, your naysayers and to the people in your community, but Charlottesville as a city, what would be your closing words following this?
Charles, so I think what I'll leave, I used to think working in nonprofits, how resource rich we were, if people just knew how to do it, they would do it. And I'm not sure I believe that. So that's part of what I'm contemplating. I'm working in a space where I can't control, right, and I have to work within these spaces where other people can hire, other people can make decisions, and other people can just say I'm a bully and crazy. And so that means that I can't change a lot of things, right? And this city would be different if I had more control over those processes. And I will say that 1000%. I don't care how many city manager training institutes, universities, anybody has been through. I will say that, and there's nobody that will dispute it in a debate, because I know what I can get done, and I know what I see, and I know how my brain works, and I know that I can learn anything, and that I do a great job. But what I'll say to the city is this what you really want? And if you really want that for people to really be free and for liberation, then you have to take the chains off of their backs and the blinders off of your eyes, right? The people who want this, because we have to acknowledge that not everybody in this community wants people to be free. They know that they need servants, they need low-wage workers to run their businesses, they need to come and clean their houses and work and nanny for their kids, clean the swimming pools, clean their bathrooms, their oil. They are okay with paying us the 400 years that it has taken for us to get to a minimum age that we are in this country. They are okay with you staying there, piecing together your lives on a little over $7. Okay.
It's truth.
But for the people, so I'm not talking to those people at all. For the people that is not okay with, because they're going to be, and that's okay. But that's not okay, but that's them, and it's going to be very little we can do.
Right.
The people who that's not okay with, then one of the things that we need to do is that we need to do that work. They need to do that work on themselves. The level of white fragility from the people who supposedly get it, a white woman with Black children who hate the Black woman who's fighting for liberation because your daughter don't get the same privilege that you got.
Preach.
Right? That person, from the business owner who says, I'm gonna hire my employees back soon as I can, need to talk to business owners who said I didn't pay myself so I can finish, so I can make sure my employees got paid. Right? To the people who want to worry about revenue and say that I shuttered their businesses, which now I got all the power in the world to shut down businesses. No, first we need to decide whether your business was actually a business or a hobby. So that's number one. Two, was you catering to the community or to the tourists and UVA students? Because that's number two. Because when you were catering to them, you were never thinking about us. So then we didn't have that history with you to sustain you during the pandemic. And those people who had the history with the community members supported them during the pandemic. But since you only heard about the tourists and the UVA students, then we didn't know that your door existed because it was never meant for us. So then don't blame me for that. Right. These are the people who say we support, just not her delivery. We want this world that she talks about, but we just don't want her to be the one that lead us to it. I'm not so sure y'all really, if that's true. And then for you to really even answer that, y'all need to do some more work. You need to dig a little bit like deeper and do that internal work. And the best way to put it is, if you know how to sustain a relationship, it takes work. You have to look at yourselves. You have to come together as a couple. You have to remember how you fit previously in previous relationships, and you have to not do those things. And then you have to find out not what you want your partner to like about you, but you have to find out what your partner likes and dislikes, and you have to do things of the likes, right? And what people have here is still, we know what's best for Black people. So for all people who say we've never been able to figure out this race thing, give us some time. Let's speed that up a little bit. When you want to keep a relationship, when you want to stay married, when you figure that out, I need you to figure this out at the same pace you figure your life.
That's right.
Speed that up, because we over here suffocating and we tired.
That's right.
We tired. Okay, and that's it. Do better.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, Mayor Nikuyah Walker, or like I like to call you, the Honorable Nikuyah J. Walker. Thank you as always for your time. Wow, so moving forward, we shall overcome, but we're gonna be all right. Right. Yeah, that's right. Regardless of which Negro
Kendrick, we gonna be all right. That's the energy we leaving with.
That's right.
All of that.
All right, Nikuyah. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.